Okay, so our first geometric transformation is called a translation. This is also oftentimes called a move or a slide. It just means moving the shape, every point in the shape, the exact same distance in the x direction and the same distance in the y direction. Distance. There we go. So each point in the pre-image, so we call the shape that we start with the pre-image, and then the shape that we end up with after the transformation is called the image. So each point in the pre-image, which is in blue, is translated exactly 6 units to the right and 4 units down. So you can see that if I put a point right here, oops, right there, you can see this is 6 units to the right and 4 units down for point I. And point R does the same thing, 6 units over and 4 units down. Same thing for T. So each point is moved exactly the same amount, and so we can write the rule by just saying how much x changes. X changes by 6, positive 6 because we're going to the right. Y changes by negative 4 because we're going down. All right, so if we look at a transformation that's already been done, here's our pre-image in green, and here's our image in red. And what you do is you just pick any one point and see what's happened to it. So if I take this point right here on the lower left side of the K, I see that it goes right there. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units down. So as a translation, I would write that as x comma y, that's my starting values, go to, and every x value becomes x plus 5. And every y value becomes y minus 6. All right. This one says to graph the image after a translation of 4 units left and 2 units down. Well, the other way you can look at this is to look at the coordinates. So G is at 1, 1. So it's going to go G prime, we use primes to indicate the transformation, is going to go 4 units to the left. So 1 minus 4 gives me a negative 3. And it's going to go 2 units down. So 1 minus 2 gives me a negative 1. So G is going to be at negative 3, negative 1. Do that in this. There we go. E is at negative 4, 3. So it's going to go E prime, 4 units to the left is going to make it negative 8, and 2 units down is going to make it 1. So E prime will be at negative 8, positive 1. And finally, F is at negative 4, positive 5. So F prime is going to go, again, 4 units to the left, so that's negative 8, and 2 units down, so it will be at 3. And then all I have to do is connect my dots. I know the lines didn't go perfectly straight there, but I think you get the idea. So the rule here is for every xy point, x goes 4 units to the left, that's x minus 4, and y goes 2 units down, that's y minus 2. Alright, so let's do this a couple more times. So every x point goes 3 units to the left, x minus 3. So I is going to go x minus 3, 1, 2, 3, and y plus 4, 1, 2, y plus 3, I'm sorry, right there. So my new I point, I prime, is right there. Same thing for j, 3 units to the left, and 3 units up. So right there becomes j prime. Same thing for k, 3 units left, 3 units up, so it's right there, k prime. And I can also do it by the relationship between the points. So I know that L is 1 unit below k. So L prime, logically, has to be 1 unit below k prime. Connect them up. You can do that given the coordinate points too. If I know that my transformation, if you look at number 7 here, is going to from x to x plus 2, I'm going to change all the x values by adding 2 to them, and change all the y values here by subtracting 1. So I would have q prime would be negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3, and 1 minus 1 is 0. R prime, I start with negative 4 and I add 2 to it, so that's negative 2. And I start with 3 and I subtract 1, so I have 2. S prime, I add 2, so I get 0, and subtract 1, I get 1. And finally T prime, start with negative 1, add 2, I get positive 1, and start with negative 2, subtract 1, I get negative 3. That's really all there is to translation. You should try some.